let's wrap up this top 10 favorite episodes of wordgirl. Moving on to number 1, and it is Rhyme and Reason, the Final, Part 1. Let's begin. The episode begins at Violet's house, where Becky and Violet set up 2 cameras around her garden, where Violet is preparing to do her art photography project so the cameras can take pictures around different angles, and the cameras have motion sensors on it. On the other side of town, 2 new villains, Rhyme and Reason, break into the scene, making crimes full of rhymes. They try to attempt to do a bank robbery in the bank, and somehow the bank teller raises the alarm, and Becky hears the alarm far from the city, and there she turns to the wordgirl and flies past the cameras, somehow capturing her identity. I think it's about time for Violet to learn the truth, who she really was. As wordgirl confronts Rhyme and Reason for the first time, she finds out the crimes that they do are odd. So, as wordgirl captures them both, she heads back to Violet's house, where Violet, on the other hand, is not happy with what she saw. When Violet puts out the pictures in her clipboard, Becky gets a horrifying surprise. Her identity was revealed to her best friend, and Violet realizes that Becky Botsford was wordgirl all along. Not knowing Bob was Captain Huggyface, not knowing that Bob Botsford was Captain Huggyface. Back in the city, where it's raining, Rhyme and Reason were heading off to jail. Until Rhyme and Reason break out of the car and somehow ended their partnership and friendship. More friendship breakups on the next scene, where Violet and Becky talk about why Becky was lying to Violet all the times that she was wordgirl. And Violet tells Becky that I forgot. Realizing that Becky was lying to Violet all along, that she was wordgirl. So Violet says to her that Becky is a whole other different person, a person that she doesn't really know. And Becky tries to convince her that she really is Becky Botsford, and Violet realizes that Becky really is wordgirl. So she and Becky break up their friendship. Becky's really sad about this. Puts her hand on Violet's shoulder, she yanks it away, and the sad music comes up, ending part 1. A very sad way to end part 1, and moving on to part 2. Moving on to part 2 of Rhyme and Reason. In the beginning episode, the narrator recaps what happened on part 1, with all 4, and the next recapping on part 1. Becky on the playground was sitting by herself in a swing, while Violet, on the other hand, sitting by herself in a seesaw. Becky convinces herself that she still is wordgirl and she is wordgirl. Becky is still Becky is still wordgirl. She's still confessing to herself. She tries to go to her best friend, who tries to be her friend again. But somehow Exhibition Guy shows up and interrupts the friendship talk. And somehow Violet says something that is really hurtful. Then Becky and Bob turn to wordgirl and Huggy, find Rhyme that she's creating chaos in the city. There, Rhyme has no reason to rhyme with. So, with Reason not around, Rhyme kicks down the pole in front of wordgirl and Huggy, and wordgirl kicks it back, and wordgirl, on the other hand, tries to find Reason. Reason showed up in a broken car that I'm seeing right here, tells wordgirl she's not with Rhyme anymore, and wordgirl convinces him to go back with Rhyme. And Rhyme is in the middle of the city, still creating chaos until Reason shows up and comes up to talk to her, and says to her he wants to be friends with her again. And so the two talk it out, and the two becomes friends again and start rhyming with words again. When the two of them team up and take down wordgirl. Then a full crowd comes up with the police in the other hand of the battle. The crowd, in the front of the crowd, were her family, her friends, and her friends. Violet, fully concerned about this, goes past the police and confronts the two. From there, she confronts Rhyme and Reason, and she says, "Stop, freezes her, or she'll turn purple." With that said, Rhyme has no words to rhyme with purple, and when wordgirl and Huggy are free, she upends the two villains, and the full crowd cheers for her last battle and her final victory. With that said, Rhyme and Reason are taken off to jail, and Rhyme, on the other hand, wants to find a word that rhymes with purple. So, more things came up when wordgirl and Violet fly up to the roof, and Violet tells her that she still is wordgirl, and she doesn't want to see wordgirl being hurt. Wordgirl then takes off her helmet and explains to Violet she is still Becky Botsford underneath her costume. That she was still the same girl who would laugh and play with her for hours. But Violet did not believe about this, and decides to walk down the stairs and decides to think about it. wordgirl cries and slumps down to the floor. The next day, Becky is still sitting in the swing, still forlorn, until Violet shows up and decides to have her friendship start over. Now she knows Becky really is. And Becky explains to Violet that she is Becky's Botsford, and sometimes she fights crime as wordgirl. And suddenly the two of them become friends again. And Violet and Becky says, "Who is our friendship from the beginning?" Well, that's what they always say in the movies. Wordgirl Becky Botsford's final line and Violet's final line is coming up. And then a full hybrid robot containing the first 5 villains show up. And Becky Botsford transforms into wordgirl. There, the series ended. That's about it. So, what I like about this episode is that even though Superstars animation was shutting down, I think this was a great way to end the series. More to this is that in part 1 of the episode, we did not hear the wordgirl sound effect. The sound of music was carried over by the graphic title. And in part 2 of the episode, 4 pictures were showing Becky and Bob, Rhyme and Reason and Violet, all forlorn in the series, in the scene. The next thing I liked about this episode is that when the crowd showed up, Tim and Sally, Scoops, Johnson, TJ, and Violet showed up, were really worried about wordgirl. That means her parents may know who she really is now. But standing back seeing her child hurt? No, that can't be happened. When her child is hurt, they had to go in there and find out if they're all right. Maybe that's why many parents got complaints about this episode or this show, thinking about what happened when their child was getting hurt. What I also like about this episode is that even though wordgirl took off her helmet, I think it was about time to take her helmet off. The first time she took her helmet off was when the episode Truth, Revision, and Lexicon Way, only briefly, until a group of photographers show up try to reveal her identity to Mr. Big. So, let's go back to past episodes and what we've seen so far. Number 10, Castle Dungeon Fortress So, Number 8. Number 9, Dr. Two Brains Mr. Cheese. Number 8, Kitty Cat Criminals. Number 7, The Home Run King. Number 6, Two Brains Forgets. Number 5. What was number 5? Number 5 was... Oh, crud. Hold on, folks. We'll be back. What was number 5? Wordgirl makes a mistake. Number 4, A World Without Wordgirl. Number 3, Staycation. Number 2, Invasion of the Bundle Covers. And number 1, Rhyme and Reason. I think this episode was declared to be number 1. So, this is Jared Paulson saying signing off, and see you next time.